Hello, this is AeL Cohort 5, Group 7. I'm Deb McCabe, and this is my colleague April Kelly. And we are doing our third videoed report out about our experience in AeL. The first question we were asked to address is how will we align our SLOs to our course content? That is the million-dollar question. We've started revising our SLOs. It is very difficult, but also eye-opening and really important. We're learning more about what we want students to get out of the course in the process of revising our SLOs. It's helping us clarify what we want students to learn and what we should look for in assessing the work that we're asking them to do along the way, not just in terms of redesign assessment, but also just in terms of assessing their learning. Specifically, we're building SLOs around their knowledge of and adaptability to various rhetorical situations, different audiences, purposes, disciplinary constraints, form constraints in their writing assignments. We are going to be building SLOs around their writing and revising practices, also around their developing self-awareness of their own writing strengths and weaknesses, because that's one of the things we want them to leave the class with, is a very clear understanding of what they do well and what they need to do more work on in order to communicate effectively in writing outside of our class. And we are creating SLOs relating to our ethics course content, which we have never really assessed in this class. We or anyone else who's taught the class have never really assessed the ethics component of the class, which is our textbook reading. It was used primarily as a prompt for informal writing assignments and a prompt for writing exercises, not so much as content that we want them to develop some mastery of. And so we're changing that and having it become content that we want them to develop some mastery of. And so we're creating some SLOs that we can measure in different ways relating to that content as well. The second question is, how do we plan to connect the course SLOs to assessment? We're revising all of our 4 major formal writing assignments, and part of our new assignment description format is at the very top of the page for each assignment will be a section called Learning Goals, where we spell out the writing and critical thinking practices that we hope that assignment will give them. And then we can incorporate that into our rubrics as well, our grading rubrics that we use for those assignments. We already were having them do some kind of writing, and we call them writing analysis assignments, where they assess their own strengths and weaknesses in their own opinion as they turn in an assignment, and then based on their peer feedback, and then again based on instructor feedback. And we are kind of ramping that up a bit and incorporating some survey-based information that we're going to collect from them about their developing awareness of their own strengths and weaknesses. And that will help us with assessment. We're going to have them fill out a Google Forms survey at the beginning of the semester about what they think first of all, what they think good writing entails, and then what they think are their strengths of those same features of good writing and what are their trouble spots. And then after each major assignment, we're going to have a portion of that Google survey redistributed to them, and basically like, so now what do you think are your strengths and weaknesses after this assignment, and then after the next assignment, so now what do you think? And then at the end, both a quantitative and probably a qualitative overall judgment of their strengths and weaknesses and their level of improvement. The ethics content assessment, we're going to start with a pretest, a multiple choice objective pretest on some core features that we want them to master about communication ethics, and then we will also be creating an objective multiple choice online final exam that has some of those same questions embedded in it, so that will be a fairly straightforward measure, a comparison measure from the beginning to the end of the semester. Let's see, I think that's it, and so now I'm going to turn it over to April.
Okay, so the third question was about what we need to do next. There's obviously a lot of things that we need to do next, some of which Deb has already begun to mention, but this says what steps are you going to take to facilitate the redesign. So we've come up with a working document about all the different things we need to do, like a to-do list, and the most immediate ones are the ones I'm going to discuss. The first thing we need to do is finish revising the assignment descriptions and the syllabus. We have a pretty good start on most of them, so we just need to finish tweaking them, and Deb just discussed how we're redesigning them more specifically. We also need to create, the assessment part has not, the assessment for those things has not really begun, so we need to create the, whatever it is we're going to use to assess, like you were talking about, the for like the ethics portion of the class, an assessment on the ethics content. We need to create all that stuff. We are working on currently too, we added in informal assignments to our redesign, so we need to come up with a bunch of ideas that we already have several of what those might be, but just kind of like a pool or a database so that different instructors can use the ones that they, or create their own, because there are multiple people teaching this class, 2 or 3 of us depending on the semester. So come up with a bunch of those informal assignments. Again, that's in progress. I just discussed the multiple choice questions. We also want to talk to Eddie Vela about the assessment in particular. That kind of relates to our final question. I'll get to that in a second. But we want to talk to him, just get an idea about the assessment process, get some ideas for that, really, and what's going to work for us. Because basically we don't have a lot of data to compare from previous semesters, so we have a question about that. And then we're also just have some little stuff about, well, this is not little. We need to build a new Learn site. That's a pretty big thing. We're discussing how we're going to do that, whether we're going to have a master and tweak them or just each do our individual. But that needs to be done as well. And the final question is about whether or not we anticipate piloting the course in fall. I think both of us would love to pilot the course in fall if possible, if we're done. But we do have a question specifically about the assessment, whether or not we need to have data to go with, data from before the redesign, because we don't have a lot of that.
Or any
at all. Yeah, I mean, we could go through our old grading records and like find some, but it would be difficult. So until we answer that question, we can't really make a complete decision about that, although I think both of us are leaning towards trying to pilot in fall, because we really but what I want is to have the new assignments out. Because
this whole problem focus approach to the writing in AeL and thinking about increasing student engagement by having them respond to what they're reading in writing.
Yeah.
All of that stuff has, in our opinion, really vastly improved our assignments that we've been doing in the past, and we want to start the whole thing in the fall because we're very excited about it. We think it's going to be a much better class for us and for the students. Really excited. When I say excited, I mean really excited.
Truly. I think that the new assignments are really that much better than that they're going to get so much more out of it that to me it's almost worth just doing it, and I want to see how it works, so I'm excited about it in that way too. But the assessment is also important.
Daunting.
Yes, daunting. We have a lot of stuff. We didn't really talk about the assessment until this week, so we have a lot of stuff. We got all the assignments. We've been working on the assignments since like week 1,
and the syllabus.
And the syllabus, but like the things we were going to change, but the assessment part we didn't quite get to until this week, so we were like, oh wait, we have to build in embedded assessment to this, so that's kind of where we're at right now. Well, that is the end of our video and our last report out, at least for the time being. I'm not sure if there are any more later or not, but
okay,
thanks and bye.
Ciao.